Sunday night, it's 8 o'clock. Welcome to All Lacrosse Live. I'm Gary Groob in Toronto. With me, as always, I have Shawn Slaght over in Moose Jaw. Shawn, how you doing?
Doing very good. Thanks, Gary.
Excellent. And I have Muffler Mike over in Connecticut. Mike, are you knee-deep in snow yet?
Soon enough.
We've been skating around here. It's not like an inch thick of ice. I really enjoyed the snow overnight, so it hid the ice. That really made it cool. That was awesome. So now you don't even know you're sliding, and it's like, wait a minute, how'd I get over here? And that's the way it is. But and now we're getting into like it's plus, and then overnight is gonna be like minus 12. So like, you know what tomorrow's like, right? Right, we're back to skating again. So I just keep the skates in my trunk, so it's I enjoy it. It's our national pastime here until today. But Caden will be on later to tell us about that. Don't worry, I know that for a fact. Anyways, we had a not so busy week in the NLL, but we've had ALL as well. A few milestones to deal with as well, and we'll get to all of that in a minute. Just a reminder to everybody that all of our shows are streamed live across Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, also Twitter and Thread, as well as Twitch. Remember to hit the follow and like buttons. Always share. Please enjoy all of our affiliates across the Streampunk Entertainment Network. If you missed a show, no worries. You can grab all the shows on YouTube, which includes Streampunk Cinema, Streampunk Combats, as well as All Across All the Time. At All Across All the Time, of course, you will catch retro games, interviews, library of shows, press conferences, fights, and a whole host of other things, and more coming all the time. Please, while you're there, subscribe. Please tell everybody about us, and let's get them involved in it as well. The more people we have on there, the more things we can do with that platform. It will be wonderful. You can remember to stay up to date with all sports by visiting streampunkentertainment.com with great articles from our huge staff of contributors. Also a reminder that the show is brought to you by 60, which is Canada's newest and most exciting sports uniform and teamwear brand, delivering top quality uniforms and teamwear that reflects the spirit and identity of each team. Their commitment to innovation and excellence sets them apart, ensuring that every customer experiences the perfect blend of style and functionality. Unleash your greatness with 60. Now remember, add Lax Talk 10 to every one of your orders to receive a 10% discount on your order. How do you get there, you ask? You can go to the QR code, which is in the center of your screen, or you can go to Instagram at sweet_60. You can email them at info.sweet60@gmail.com, or go directly to their website at www.sweet60.ca/60. Jim will be more than happy to work with you on your ideas, and you will be more than happy, I am sure, with the quality work. All right. Eduardo was with us from sunny Florida over at St. Augustine. I'm going to bet you he doesn't have anywhere the weather we've been having.
Oh, no.
Right now, Saskatoon and Saskatchewan, the rest of they're looking probably the most calm out of everywhere in there. You probably got 8 feet of snow there, right?
We're like minus 30 right now. So we're in the deep freeze.
It's summer. It is summer there, then, yes.
Yep.
That's what they said on the Philadelphia broadcast today, right? We're expecting about 2 feet of snow, but in Saskatchewan they just call that Thursday.
Yeah. That's about right. Yeah.
He missed his career as a stand-up comic.
We just brought our weather with us. That's all we did.
Yeah, last time around you guys got the game canceled. This time around you wanted to play it because, Philadelphia.
On a roll.
Anyways, we'll get to that one anyways. There should be a mercy rule at some point, I think. But, hey, what do I know? A few little things to keep in mind. Number one is Lacrosse Day for our champions in Peterborough, May 30th. Put that in your calendars. I realize it's a fair amount off. The snow will be melted almost by then. And, it'll be a great day of all kinds of things. 9 a.m., members of Lacrosse Peterborough will be there. 4:30, you don't want to miss this at the Memorial Center in Peterborough's Legends of Lacrosse playing. And at 7 o'clock, across the street at Sticks, which is the restaurant bar just across from Memorial Center, is Storytime by the Legends. This is one you don't want to miss. The stories are legendary, and so are the people telling them. So to talk and listen and just be a part of it, absolutely worth every minute of your time. So put that in your calendars, May 30th up in Peterborough. If you can get there, please do. Please support a really worthwhile cause of Special Olympics Peterborough. Ty Kurtz has got his March break camp with the Oshawa Firewolves Training Academy. That will be, of course, March 16th through 20th. Location is the Yard, $195 a player plus HSD. There are 25 spots per group. So you're going to want to try and get a hold of that one. A few milestones to get a hold of is Ryan Terefenko. His first one up today. Has 100 career points after this weekend. Congratulations, Ryan. Dylan Ward on Friday night hit 7,000 career saves. And by the looks of the shots on goal, I think he had most of those in that game. He played real well.
Yeah.
And Robert Church, what can we say about him that hasn't already been said? 950 career points, most in franchise history. Congratulations, Robert. Just amazing. He was on fire today.
Yeah.
That behind the back goal.
We'll
was
get
just,
that. And then he had one pass to assist where he was literally laying on his back. And he just got it off.
Absolutely.
Like he's not slowing down.
No, not at all. Not at all. Anyways, let's get into some ALL. We had a busy week with ALL because with the last snowstorm, of course, they had to make up a couple of games, and they started doing that this weekend. We had 5 games. And, we'll start Friday night over in Brampton. And the Brampton Express faced the Paris Riverwolves. And, the Brampton Express beat said Paris Riverwolves by a mere 22-10. A good football score. This is one powerful team, guys. And of course, the leading point getters, of course, are, Curtis Ward. What can we say about him? Just amazing. Jeremy Searle had 3 goals, 7 assists for Brampton as well. Ben Eistrad had a terrific game with a goal and 5 assists. The biggest standout for Paris was his name is escaping me now. Kaz Nazilski. Now, he had 2 goals in transition that were just absolutely amazing. But they were really few and far between in that day of bright spots. Brampton just absolutely controlled this game from start to finish. And, 22-10 was your final. We had a couple of games yesterday over at Children's Arena in Oshawa. And I was there to see them live. The Whitby Peterborough game, I had told everybody to circle, and it was one that was not so circleable. The score was 18-10 for Whitby in the final, but really, a couple of goals at the end on power plays for Peterborough made this closer than it really was on the day. It was 8-4 at the half, and it looked like we still had quite a good game ahead of us. But the biggest thing was that the start of the second half, Whitby put together 4 goals in just over 5 minutes to make the score 12-4, and this thing, for all intents and purposes, was done. Parker Pfeiffer, another big day. Him, Devin, Owen Orpana, also a big day. Just absolutely, this team is firing on all cylinders right now. When they were last in the power rankings, I had made mention that there was just too much talent on this team to stay down there. And boy, oh boy, they're in and around 6 or 7 games in a row now, and they just don't look like they're taking a foot off the gas. They just are rolling. Orpana had 8 goals in this game, 2 assists, just to show you how much he's on fire. Parker Pfeiffer, 2 goals, 6 assists. Ethan Harwood was in net, and he was spectacular. Every time Peterborough was going forward, he had the answer. And just a little bit of penalty trouble at the end when it didn't really mean much. And, Peterborough got the last 4 goals, 3 of them on the power play. And 18-10 is your final. In the late game, the Oswego Bears faced the Oshawa Outlaws. And Again, this one actually had more to do with playoff implications than the first one because only 6 of the 8 teams make the playoffs. So these guys are all on the cusp. And Oswego has been shaking it rough with 4 losses in a row recently. They came up big. Chase Martin in net had a great game. Patrick Timothy had 2 goals and an assist. Xander Delaron had 3 goals, 3 assists on the day. Oswego beat Oshawa 15-9. And really, they ramped it up. It was 7-6 at the half. And Oswego found another gear in the second half. And 15-9 was your final. Now, not to put anything down, but the Oswego Bears had to play again the early game today because of the scheduling, and they faced the Paris River Wolves in a very, very odd game. I was telling the guys off air that this game was as strange could be. After the first quarter, Oswego had a 5-4 lead, and it looked like it was going to be just a your average, ordinary, really tight game between 2 teams very similar. Second quarter, Oswego explodes for 8 goals, giving up none. And they come out and they're up 13-4 at the half. And you think, again, this is over. Well, and on top of that, Lane Smith scored 5 in a row. Just to put things in a little further. We head into the third quarter, and whatever was said in the Paris dressing room certainly lit a fire under their butts because they came out with an 8-goal third, giving up none to bring us again to a 1-goal game heading into the fourth. And Dylan Thomas was the big thing. Ty Argent also had a good period. Came in Diabo. All the people who were supposed to score were scoring. And I'm wondering where this has been all season. But bang. And all of a sudden, we were heading at a 13-12 game going into the fourth. Well, Oswego, once again, had that extra gear. And Lane Smith, as well as Eddie Renault, Eddie finished the game with 4 goals and an assist. Were able to put the team on their backs. And 17-13, Oswego comes away with both victories this weekend, which jumps them up in the standings and jumps them up in the power rankings. Which brings us to our last game of the weekend. And Mike, are you sitting down?
I am.
You certainly look like you are. Six Nations and the Toronto Monarchs got together. And, well, Six Nations not only beat Toronto, but they beat them soundly. 17-10 was the final in this game. Toronto was up 4-2 after 1. But a 7-goal second changed the outcome of this game. The second half saw Six Nations score another 8 altogether against only giving up 3. The big scorers for Six Nations, Thunder Hill with 3 goals. Chayton King had a pair. Wes Whitlow had 3. Briley Maxwell also had 3. For Toronto, Tanner Buck had a decent game, 3 goals, 2 assists. Ty Jessup was a terrific facilitator with 5 assists. But just singles from Mason Kaminga, Jordan Dance, Nathan Laycock, Chris Harlan, Riley Ford, and Cody Ennis. And Toronto was laid out today. Now, if we take a look at this week's power rankings, not much has changed in the top. We have Whitby sitting in first, Brampton in second. Toronto is staying in third, but barely. Peterborough is in fourth. And I would actually reference that 1 and 2 is actually 1 and 1A. That's how close these two teams are. We move to the lower echelon of the 8, and Six Nations is sitting now in 5th. Oswego has jumped up a couple of spots into 6th. Oshawa is down 1 into 7th, and Paris is down 1 into 8 with a pair of losses this weekend as well. So in the standings, which is a wee bit different than our power rankings, but not by much. Whitby is sitting in first place. Brampton is sitting in first place with an 8-2 record. Whitby with 8-3 record. So by percentage points, Brampton is in first place, but I believe they have 2 games coming up this next weekend. It's only 3 weeks left in the season. Toronto is in third, tied with Peterborough at 6-5. Oswego is at 5-6. Six Nations is at 4-6. Oshawa 3-8, tied with Paris, who is at 3-8. And again, with the last 2 teams not making it, there's going to be a real logjam between Oswego, Six Nations, Oshawa, and Paris for who gets into playoffs. And the next couple of weeks are going to be very, very pivotal. Just having a look at what's upcoming is Friday, Peterborough and Brampton face each other. And Saturday, over at Children's Arena, we have the Six Nations Snipers against Oshawa. That's a huge playoff implication game. Over at the track, you have the Oswego Bears against the Toronto Monarchs. And again, that's a big game for Oswego, more than for Toronto. Paris will be playing the Whitby Steelhawks in the late game in Oshawa Saturday evening. And that is it for that week. It's going to come down to the very end. And I'm telling you, you have 5 games the next weekend, which is going to settle just about everything. And then a few games left mid-March, and then we're into playoffs. So stay tuned. Again, if you are anywhere near these arenas, being at ILA, being at track, or Children's Arena in Oshawa, for $10, $5 if you're under 14, you can't go wrong. You are getting NLL caliber play, NLL caliber coaching at a very, very discounted price, and very accessible players, coaches, and everything else. So it's a lot of fun. So you might want to come out and have a look. Alrighty. That'll bring us over to NLL. And of course, we had 4 games this week. Kind of weird, eh, Mike? After 8 last week and 42 next week, right? But, you know, we start off in Toronto, and we had the rematch between, of course, the Colorado Mammoth and the Toronto Rock. And, you know, the funny thing is we were wondering if there'd be any repercussions with the Elijah Gash hit. And when we looked at it, of course, you see that Gash really didn't move, that Edwards just happened to run into a cement wall. And that day, nobody wanted to fight Elijah. So a week later, I'm pretty sure nobody wanted to fight him either. And you know what? I was right. Nobody wanted to fight him. They actually wanted to just play and win. So Toronto made a couple of moves in their lineup, which were interesting. Now, they've had a couple of injuries, and, you know, they lost Chris Weir. They lost Justin Martin for the season. So they brought up Jake Darlison into the lineup, having some exuberant youth and good transition. Sam English had another week to heal, and he wasn't nearly as heavily taped as he was the week before. But they also brought up Isaiah Morin-Weeks into the offense. And I was wondering, again, not a big fella, but he can move. He's got wheels. And he made his presence known right away, digging loose balls, running around the offense. There was a couple of times where it looked like he was trying to figure out where he fits in the movement. But overall, he had a really good game, had an absolutely beautiful goal. And if you look at our recap on the website, I have that Twitter clip on there. It is an absolutely great individual effort to bury a feed from in close. He also had an assist on the day as well. But, you know, the first half went back and forth, and, you know, it was highlighted by both Troy Holochuk and Dylan Ward, who just were absolutely on point. They both made 26 saves in the half. They faced 26 shots in the half, sorry. Mark Matthews opens the scoring 53 seconds into the game with just an absolute laser that caught the short side corner. Will Malcolm, about a minute and a half later, came back and tied the game. Dylan McIntosh, not 20 seconds later, gave them the lead. And I thought, oh, I've seen this movie. CJ Kirst with an absolute laser, just an absolute rocket on the power play off of Mark Matthews' pass. with a couple of minutes to go in the first, tied the game up, and we were 2-2 after one. Isaiah Moran Weeks then scores. Again, just a beautiful individual effort. If you haven't seen it, please check out the clip. Owen Ron then ties the game up at midway through the second. Robert Hope in transition with just over 4 minutes left in the half, gives Colorado the lead, and 2 minutes later, Andrew Q on the power play from the side of the net in typical Andrew Q fashion converts a Braden Saras pass, and it was 5-3 Colorado at the half. We're thinking still within reach. A good half played by both teams. Very, very athletic half. Both teams high octane. I like this Toronto Rock idea of the track meet, and that's literally what we got. Only got better from there. The Rock came out on fire. Challen Rogers scores on the power play 3 minutes into the third quarter, followed by Owen Hiltz with another absolutely fantastic shot. We're tied at 5. Colorado comes back. Dylan McIntosh on the power play gets his second of the night, followed by Andrew Q again with his second of the night, and it is 7-5. I'm thinking, okay, is this where it changes? It doesn't. On the power play again, Josh Dollick with a beautiful low-to-low laser off of Mark Matthews' feed, and it's a 1-goal game. Challen Rogers with his second of the night with 57 seconds left in the third, and we are tied going into the fourth. Now, I have mentioned to you guys about the changes to the Rock and all the different things going. Well, the Rock saved the fourth quarter of this game for their best quarter of the season, bar none. Bar none. Sam English goes coast to coast 2 minutes into the fourth to give the Rock the lead, unassisted. Thomas Vela and Owen Ron score, and Colorado is in the lead 9-8. Now, the Rock of old may have just gone and, just kind of folded to the side. 30 seconds later, Owen Hiltz ties the game. A minute after that, Mark Matthews gives Toronto the lead. In the final couple of minutes, CJ Kirst scores off a Challen Rogers feed. Challen Rogers gets his third of the game off a Mark Matthews feed. And then just to add to the fun, CJ Kirst pots an empty net goal, and Toronto beats Colorado, ending their 7-game win streak 13-9. The shots on goal were 60-50 in favor of Toronto. Dylan Ward still had a good night in net. But Troy Holochuk, every time I see him, I made mention of this before, I see more and more of Brandon Miller in him. I see these kick saves and these toe saves and all the things that made B. Miller so special in his days between Philadelphia, Toronto, and a few other stops along the way. And I see that in Holochuk now more and more. And being a reflex goalie, he was just on fire in this game. Colorado just absolutely dominated the faceoff with a 19-7 clip. But loose balls, Toronto was on point. They won the loose ball battle 71-56. They were in there like vacuum cleaners. Every time there was one, they were there. Latrell Harris had a great night on his bobblehead night. And if you've seen my Facebook page, you'll see he looks very comfortable in all the other bobbleheads there. Didn't get the gold one. Oh, well. On the power play, Colorado went 2 for 2. Toronto went 4 for 7, but they were very, very important goals and timely goals when they got it. And Colorado, unlike them, got into a lot of penalty trouble. Toronto was quite disciplined in this game. But again, youthful exuberance was in there. I guess they didn't know they were supposed to lose. So there you go. So Toronto is now sitting at 6-4. And in the middle of the pack, Colorado is sitting at 8-3. Now 2 below Saskatchewan.
Yeah,
but an excellent game.
A big favor.
Yeah, an excellent game all around. I don't think anybody on either side was disappointed in what they were watching through most of the night. The game just had so much to it, and it had a few little scuffs and scrapes and little, nothing of a major fight, but a lot of rolling around and, when they dove across the Toronto crease. Yeah, I know Brad Creed took exception to Owen Ron doing it. Hey, be like David and Goliath, really. But hey, so Toronto wins that one. Oh, well, thank you for joining us, Chad. Appreciate that. We go to the evening game, the later game of the week, and we had Buffalo and Vancouver. And, another interesting game.
Yeah, game of runs for sure. Buffalo gets out to a 1-0 lead with a goal from Ryan Benesh, who's moved, I believe, within 5 points of passing Colin Doyle on the all-time points list. So I believe that will catapult him into the top 5. So, but short-lived. Jesse King scores 10 seconds later for the Warriors and ignites a 5-goal run into the second quarter. Goal from Owen Grant transition, goal from Curtis Dixon, and King scores another. And then Adam Charlambides scores to start the second quarter, putting them up 5-1, at which point Buffalo goes on one of their patented runs, started by transition goal from Nick Weiss. They get back-to-backs from Josh Byrne, and then Kyle Buchanan to Hokan Coke with a ridiculous one-handed goal to put Buffalo up 6-5. Dane Smith adds another, and with 20 seconds left in the half, Curtis Dixon fires in his second goal on a power play. So Buffalo's looking good, up 7-6 at the half. But enter the third quarter, and normally we would see Buffalo go on another big run to open the half and maybe put the game away. This time it was the other way around. A pair of goals from Keegan Ball, a third one from Curtis Dixon that was ridiculous, low to high, that looked like it practically went through the net. And then Jesse King gets his hat trick goal. And suddenly Vancouver's up 10-7. And if you've been following the Warriors all year, you know that you want to see them get their goals in the first 3 quarters, because they are actually the worst team in the fourth quarter when it comes to scoring, believe it or not. But they were able to hold on. Pair of goals from Kyle Buchanan pull the Bandits within 1 in the fourth quarter, but Curtis Dixon scores with 13 seconds left to put them up 11-9, and that's your final. And Vancouver improves to 7-3, and Buffalo now, it's it's not looking good, guys. 4-6, and yeah, they have quite the double header next week in week 14.
One of them Toronto.
Yeah. And the other before they go to Toronto for their only meeting with Toronto this season, they get to go back to Bandit Land and take on Saskatchewan. So that's going to be probably a knockdown, drag-out game, and Saskatchewan's going to want to steamroll. Yeah, they've got a little payback on their mind. So
now here's the question for the class. The Bandits fans travel very nicely usually to Hamilton, which is about a 25-minute drive. Do they bother after the Saskatchewan game if Buffalo loses that one? Because, they're all intents and purposes out of the playoffs and sellers. Do they come and try and whoop it up in Toronto, where one team is obviously on the rise and the other team is obviously on the rebuild?
I mean, I think they're going to keep believing until they reach a point where, I mean, obviously if they drop both games next week. 4-8 is not looking good. We already have 3 teams with 8 or more losses, and Halifax could be joining that group next week as well.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, we'll get to that after the San Diego game. But they traveled to San Diego this week. They're traveling to Calgary next week. That's a lot of miles.
Yeah.
In a couple of weeks. So, I mean, am I concerned? Yeah. There's still 2 weeks of play before the trade deadline. But
did any of you guys catch this though at the end of this game? And Matt Vince lets in the 11th goal, and he looks like he's mad and screaming at his defenseman.
Yeah, he's
Goal
frustrated.
came from way outside, and really, like, that's your save. Kind of looks strange. Wondering what
frustration.
was on that.
It did, yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely saw at the end of the game. I saw his frustration. At this point, I'm not sure what to make of it, because we've been talking about this Rule 67.16 all season,
Right?
And some of the things we haven't talked about. I know Ryan McMichael brought it up a couple weeks ago. I believe the Bandits are the only team who actually haven't been penalized under that rule.
Interesting.
Under the
Not
rule
interesting.
that that was designed to deter them from doing what they've been doing defensively for several years now.
Right.
I mean, I guess I can't stress this enough. If anyone thinks that the Bandit rule is resulting in more scoring, you're horribly wrong right now, because we've gone through 71 games now out of 126. And when you compare the total number of goals scored this season through 71 games to the total number of goals scored through 71 games last year, when this rule was not in effect, and anyone could be employing the same tactics as the Bandits did when defending the crease, we're like 132 goals below that pace this season. And that number keeps getting worse in the negative direction every week.
Yeah. And a little bit to that rule too. I mean, I feel like that's for the Bandits. I mean, we said, maybe they're just having a hard time adjusting, but I mean, you're 10 games in now. I feel there's no more excuses, right? You should have been adjusted by now.
And I mean, I would say they are, considering that they haven't been penalized.
Yeah.
For the rule that was, people are saying was created to change how they played defense specifically. Okay, they were, for lack of a better word, targeted, if you will, by this rule specifically.
Yeah. Absolutely. But it's just odd that they're the only team that hasn't been penalized by it. So they've done it to the letter of the law. But,
I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I'm still baffled by just the lack of scoring when this rule, again, designed to kind of deter what the Bandits were doing, but that rule is, effectively should be opening up the net for offensive players to pick corners,
right.
Whatever, kind of have a little more freedom where to shoot. Yet we're down 132 goals.
It's just kind of funny. It's just kind of funny because I think it's just the quality of goaltending we've been seeing is, we've had so many goaltenders that have just been lights out so far this year.
Well, you take a look just in the last few weeks, right? And Brett Dobson, who's just been absolutely fantastic. Holochuk, who's done a great job with the exception of one game in relief of Nick Rose, amongst others. Of course, Siliano. It looked like he was going to get lit up today and just, absolutely shut him down after. Dylan Ward's been lights out most of this year as well. Del Bianco. Even Chris Riglieri has looked pretty sharp, especially since he's come back.
Yeah.
So, but it's been a wild ride so far this year, and I really don't know what to think of it, because a lot of these teams have tougher schedules in the second half than you have in the first.
Yeah, I mean they might. I mean, I still don't think. I'd have to maybe take a look at the schedule again, but I can't see how anyone has a more difficult schedule the rest of the way than Buffalo.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
That's if they're planning on trying to make the playoffs. It's a steep hill to climb.
Yeah. I mean, let's just say hypothetically they lose both ends of the doubleheader. You're looking at 4-8. You've got one more game before the trade deadline. But there's talk that Chugger's going to make some more moves. But it's tough to feel positive about it, because the moves they've made already, off season and in season, all seem to have backfired.
Well, yeah.
Which is odd, because over the last couple of years, everything they've done was old. When they picked up Paul Dawson, everybody thought he was washed up. He became the defenseman of defensemen for 2 of those championships.
Yeah,
he was just
lights out, block shots one year. So
yeah. And when you had an injury, when Matt Spanger went down, you picked up Kyle Matisse. He fit in very nicely into that. Ron John fit in very nicely into that thing. But, you can see when things are starting to go south is when you're making deals that everybody goes, what? Why? Halifax is doing that. They got rid of Dawson Deed for a song. I still can't figure that one out.
Yeah. That felt like a white flag right there. Like,
Triolo gone from Buffalo for nothing. Makes no sense at all.
Just to add again, that Deed trade, it looks even worse because not only is Dawson Deed keeping up his production with Oshawa, his offensive production, he's decreased his penalty minutes significantly. I think he's been called once or twice for penalties in 3-4 games now with Oshawa.
More discipline system, yeah.
Where all the talk was, hey, as people in Halifax, hey, we're happy to get, we're happy to move on from him. He's a penalty machine. He takes too many, all of a sudden now
they're still taking a bunch of penalties
Oshawa,
without him. So
they're still taking penalties,
yeah.
But he's playing disciplined lacrosse in Oshawa and still putting up.
And nothing's changed in Halifax. They're still taking penalties without him. So
yep.
Right. Which brings us over to the Halifax-San Diego game. And another one that was snatching the L out of the jaws of victory in my eyes.
Yeah. Well, yeah. San Diego comes away with a 9-8 win. And again, like, Halifax looked really, really good at the start. Cody Jamieson starts off the scoring. Randy Stotts, Jamieson with the second one. And it's 3-0 right off the bat for Halifax. Westberg comes back with a power play marker. And Halifax is up 3-1 after one. Wakerite Bo Hunter makes it 4-1, but then Trey LeClaire and Westberg come back. It's 4-3. Randy Stotts with a penalty shot off of a holding penalty, and it's 5-3 Halifax at the half. So, Halifax isn't looking too bad to be in here. Jason Knox makes it a 3-goal game to start the second half, and then the wheels just completely fall off for Halifax. Yeah, 5-goal run for San Diego. Westberg, Trey LeClaire, Dylan Watson, another one from LeClaire, Connor Robson on the power play with 1:08 left, and it's now 8-6 San Diego. To Halifax's credit, they did come back a bit in the fourth. Clark Peterson with a power play marker about a minute and 15 into the period or the quarter. Romanovich ties it up. But then on the transition, actually, Dylan Watson scores the game winner. But there's still 8 minutes and 37 seconds left. And actually, about, I think it was a minute and a half, Clark Pearson had a really, really good look to tie up this game. And Chris O'Reilly just made an unbelievable save to keep that game alive. And that was really the difference. But again, you talk about the penalties. Halifax gave San Diego 7 power plays and they converted on 3. I mean, right there, that's tough. But I mean, that is penalty filled just even to begin with, because even how San Diego gave 5 power plays to Halifax and they only converted on 1. So even, being up a man, Halifax didn't really do much. I don't lay this in the feet of Warren Hill. I mean, he actually did play a really good game. It's just, everything in front of him is just falling apart.
9 goals too, and that's good enough to win most games. I look at San Diego, and we were talking, at least I have been talking, that they're one-dimensional, which is Westberg, and yes, Westberg got his points, but now last week we saw that Dylan Watson was coming alive, Connor Robinson's been coming alive. This week we see Trey Leclerc having a great game. So slowly but surely, all these guys are getting back in the mix here. And, if they're going to be firing on all cylinders, Corey Small had a few assists also. I think he had 3 or 4 assists.
4 assists, yeah.
If he's in the lineup and healthy, once his shot comes back to him, because right now he's a good facilitator feeding, what kind of shot he's got, and he can pick the where the rope meets in the diamond. He can kick, still peg that off beautiful. So once he starts getting comfortable firing again, as well as all the other weapons that they have, San Diego can be very, very dangerous down the stretch, I think. And they've been showing absolutely over the last 3, maybe 4 weeks that they mean that they're in the top echelon of this league still. And that they need, you can't just overlook them. And they're winning at home again, Mike. So they're starting to make that.
And I was going to, not to introduce a potential jinx, but we saw that game against Saskatchewan where they were kind of in control, and Saskatchewan kind of had to claw their way back in. That might not be a team. We talked about how this San Diego team, might kind of adopt this identity of road warriors, if you will,
right?
Where they end up with an 8-1 record on the road or something like that, and if they sneak in, say at 9-9, and they're the 8th seed, it might not be a game the Saskatchewan wants to see first round.
Very true. I look at this though. Zach Courier, by all stretches imaginary, he had a terrific game against Oshawa last week. He, by all accounts, wasn't playing the greatest game Zach Courier could play. But you look at it, he had 11 loose balls.
Yeah. I was going to say, he was all over the field.
Yeah, doing other things for the greater good. That's what this team is good at. And, you look at Eli Goldbrook with 2 caused turnovers. It just goes down a list of different things of everybody putting in different things to make this a team victory. And then, of course, Chris Riglieri with 41 saves, including that just absolutely incredible save at the end that saved this thing from going to overtime. And I can't tell you how many times he's done that, and he's only 23, playing like he's 33.
Yeah.
So let me ask one more question. Did this game not only put Micah Kersey on the hot seat, but take Patrick Merrill off the hot seat?
Patrick Merrill, I'd say probably, yeah. It's funny because you're talking about, Gary, kind of the depth and, other guys getting involved with San Diego. I look at Halifax. You had Randy Stotts with 2 goals and 3 assists. You had Cody Jamieson with 2 goals and 2 assists. And that was about it.
Yeah.
You can't win with just 2 guys. Yeah.
That's more of a credit to San Diego's defense, I think. And they don't get near enough credit. You look at what they did last week to a really high octane Oshawa. Granted, Oshawa's had their problems, but they can score, and they completely took them out of the game early and often. And they did the same thing to Halifax in the second half. Completely shut them down, and really, they had a decent first half, and then they were really gripping the sticks come the fourth quarter.
Yeah,
they just were everywhere. And Ari Steinhaus, he looks like he's been playing 5 years. He's having a great rookie year.
Yeah.
Danny Logan, Armitage. They're all really in there, but they're playing as a team, and it's a testament to buying into the system. I don't really think Pat Merrill was on the hot seat, to tell you the truth.
Yeah,
I think he's done so much over the years there that even if it was an off season,
I feel like maybe he was, because he's been there, since the beginning now, and kind of quite hasn't gotten over that hump, into like an NLL final yet.
This team's going through a little bit of transition.
Here's a question you would normally ask: is who's better out there?
Yeah,
if you're going to fire Patrick Merrill mid-season,
no, that definitely comes into play.
Coach GM. That's why I think Glenn Clark, one of the greatest coaches in the NLL over the years, and GMs, having a rough time with right now in Oshawa. If you were to fire him, who's taking over, and what are they going to do?
Yeah, I think Lori's to say Chrissy's maybe on the hot seat.
He still has the room.
Yeah.
And Ty Kurtz, when he was on the show on Thursday, he said that loud and clear that Clarkie's probably the best coach he's ever played for.
Yeah.
So, that kind of thing is gold. And you're not talking about run-of-the-mill organizations. These guys know what's what. And there's going to be winners and losers. Going to be good years. Going to be not. So not everybody has to be on the hot seat every single time. This one I don't think is a starter. However, I come back to the same question that I have every time Halifax plays, and that is Randy Stotts had 12 shots on net and 2 goals. Does he need to spread the ball out a little bit more, or is that just a design as pass, Randy shoots? It's not working.
No.
Brendan Bomberg, he is snake bitten. He had a couple of really good opportunities, can't score. Just can't score. In Georgia, he buried these things week in and week out. Just can't score. I counted 2 or 3 that he had from the side of the net, just beautiful setups, and irregularity stoned him. So Kehoe has really not made much of an impact yet. Now, granted, he hasn't played in a year and a half other than the President's Cup, but, you would expect that he's coming in and he's going to do something from the front in the typical top of the crease spot where Kehoe goes. Nothing.
Yeah. Just going back to your point about stats, so Gary, sorry. I mean, if I'm an opposing coach now and I'm looking at those stats, I'm just saying, you know what? I'm covering Stotts. I'm putting everything I got on Stotts because he's going to take the shot. We just know it. That's just how they play. I mean,
more times than not. Yeah, you're right.
Anyone. Yeah.
Getting predictable.
Yeah, exactly.
I just wonder why they don't use Peterson more. Now, granted, he had 7 shots, 1 goal. Beautiful goal. Great timing for it.
Yeah.
But, man, he was getting 4 and 5 goals a game when they were successful. Jameson had 2 goals. Granted, he's more of the facilitator now, and he'll take the shot if it's there. But I just wonder, you brought Wakeri Bohender back in the lineup. Did it make much of a difference? He had a goal, but did it make that much of a difference in your overall scheme? Was your offense better because he was there?
Yeah.
I
guess that's why I kind of go back to Mike's question about a Kersey, and that's why I said maybe he is in the hot seat. And I'm not saying fire him now. Like you said, who's better? And I agree with that. I don't think there's anyone out there right now, at least not until you hit the offseason. You can actually do a search. But I mean, this was a team that we thought in the offseason was going to be a contender, and like you mentioned, they had success. And you said they were successful in the past, and they just seem to be regressing.
Well, ever since the Hill 2-goal game, it's been downhill. Pardon the pun. But the other one that stands out to me, well, one of the goals was from Curtis Romanchuk, right? And that's only a second career goal, first of the year. So, without that,
Yeah.
this isn't a close game down the stretch either. And you only wound up with 7 goals. Where is the scoring from this lineup? And why isn't Will McLeod in? He got you 4 goals the first time he played, and he really hasn't been used much since. Withers we know has a bum hand. Even if it's healed, it's still not 100%. Great for faceoffs, but not much more. So, and those were some pretty
maybe
legendary
it's
stuff.
the dip. Maybe it's there's a dip in transition production. I mean, Terefenko's doing his part for sure.
Yeah.
He's all over the floor.
Yep.
But I mean, I don't think we're seeing the same kind of offensive production in transition from guys like Colton Armstrong, Tyson Bell, Max Wilson.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yep.
So are they sellers?
Also, I thought when they made that D trade, they were already waving the white flag.
Yeah,
That's
I
what it
guess
almost
so,
seems
but,
like, right?
If they're sellers, what are they selling? And what are they looking to get? Because I don't think right now they're getting full value for any of these guys. Maybe Peterson.
That's great. Like, could you get something from Terefenko?
I don't think no.
I don't think Peterson. That's just suicide.
Yeah, I mean, if there's, I was going to say if there's, I'd say if there's 3 guys that are untouchable right now, well, maybe 4. Terefenko, Peterson are not moving. I would say Jason Knox is not moving.
Yeah.
Right. Well, neither is Graham
Kostiuk. The whole reason that's the only one. That's the only one I'd add. But
those are the guys that have value. That's the problem.
Well, I would even say this, right? When they were successful, Mike Robinson was doing things the same as what he was doing in the summer with Peterborough. And now, if Pat was here, he would be telling us Pat's shoveling snow right now in Philadelphia. So we wish him the best. But if Pat was here, he'd be telling us Mike Robinson's picture had just gone up on a milk carton because he's invisible. He is just MIA in this offense. And one of the knocks against him, even in the summer, is that he fires and fires and fires and doesn't really look for anything going on. Well, he's not getting the ball that much then because he only had 4 shots on net. But when you look at his stats, there's a lot of zeros there. 6 loose balls, 4 turnovers, 4 shots on net. That's not a spot in the lineup.
No.
But what can you get for him? Not much right now. You could. A month ago you could have. Now, not so much.
Yeah.
No, you can't. Let me add one thing about Kostiuk, though. So maybe he's not kind of the same form as when he was, racking up Defender of the Year awards. But I would say he's even, in his 12th year in the league, I would say he's still worth a first-round pick. And I just want to throw that out there because Halifax has their own pick and they have a compensatory in the first round. So imagine how quickly they can rebuild the same way Toronto did if they have 3 first-round picks in what everyone keeps saying is the best draft in a decade.
And is Graham Kostiuk not an unrestricted free agent I can reject?
That would be the caveat because I did think about this just before the show and I thought, boy, you got to get more than just a first for him. You've got to get maybe a first and maybe like a second next year. And I thought, well, if the team trading for him comes back with, hey, look, we can't give you 2 picks for what could amount to be a rental, for us. And then he walks. And I get it. This would not be a popular move with the fans.
No,
But
no, it would not.
But we just saw Nick Rose do the same thing and pretty much walk back to Toronto, and it was made pretty clear as soon as the season ended last year.
Here's one for you. Would Shawn Williams be on the phone? Because Vegas could certainly use him, and Vegas is right there at 8 right now, and their first round opponent is Saskatchewan. As if we started playoffs now. Would that work? I think it would. It was the one thing that we have not Vegas on that they haven't really addressed greatly. His defense.
This would help
change. Well, I know the other thing we brought up last week is Hill.
This would help some of their transition out.
You know what?
Hill over to Vegas.
Las Vegas does have their first rounder, and they have a compensatory. Remember, it's Halifax and Las Vegas have the 2 compensatory picks.
Yeah,
so they can afford it. Or do they try their luck after? Because they're certainly not going to do this for a rental. The only way they would do it is if they can sign him long term. And if they can, let's see, winter in Halifax.
And
or Las Vegas where it's 87 degrees in the shade.
You ready for me to add? Are you ready for me to add to Halifax's potential riches here? I forgot. Not only do they have their pick and the compensatory from Panther City, they have Toronto's first round pick. So they already have 3 of the first 16 picks.
Right.
And if they make this trade with Vegas or someone else, you're talking 4 of the first 16 picks in, again, what everyone is calling the best draft in a decade. Maybe the best draft since Kostiuk was drafted in 2014.
Right.
Right behind Lyle Thompson. So there's a lot of sense if Kostiuk can walk as a UFA and go back to Halifax after the season.
That'd be interesting, wouldn't it?
It certainly would.
Yeah, that would be interesting. I'm still giddy about Toronto getting, Calgary's pick, which looks to be a very low one too. Very good number. But you also get Ty English, who was picked first round this past draft to play with his brother Sam. And Ty is a much bigger, faster player than Sam. So that transition game in Toronto is going to look a lot stronger too next year with Latrell Harris healthy, with Phil Mazuka, and any of the others, Jake Darlison. That's a speedy lineup. So it's going to be interesting, and this is the first trade deadline in a long time that's piqued my curiosity for more than just what can happen now, but what can happen through the summer, fall, and into next year. Because there's so many things that are resting on what they do in 3 weeks' time. So many things.
Yeah,
and Halifax, it's more than just the season and the cup this year.
And the games that they have, Halifax is at Calgary next week, and then they're home against Las Vegas in Week 15. And then the trade deadline's pretty much right after Week 15 ends.
See, we didn't even talk about this one. Because the team's in such a mess, would Philadelphia be interested in trying to get a Kostiuk or something like that? Or did they get burned bad enough last year from the Toronto trade that they don't want to do this?
Well, I mean, Philly's the
only person that stuck around from all
Philly's
those
the other team that has an extra. Philly's another team that has an extra pick, first round pick. They have their own,
need them,
and they have Buffalo.
Yeah, they need them. That's
I
where
think-
I'm
I
coming
think-
on
I think
because like
there's-
this Philly's a selling team too, so I don't know why they would be buying. That just doesn't make sense. to me,
I
but-
think the
True.
only
I don't
Yeah.
think they do it.
all the front office jobs are resting on how this next draft goes, if they make it that far, and if they're even in Philadelphia. Even
Which
that's
is
up in
crazy
the air.
because shouldn't we be asking the same question that we're asking with these coaches? You get rid of a GM, who out there is better to come in and be a GM?
One of the problems in the NLL is we keep recycling the same people. We don't
Yeah.
bring it out into some of the junior coaches around who are easily as good as some of the guys that are out there now that have been regurgitated from one place to another with maybe some fresher ideas, because they have to work with a lot of these kids and are probably better suited for these drafts because they're working with these kids or playing against these kids week in, week out all summer long.
That's why I think if you're going to see any firings, it's going to be the off season where you can take your time, hire the right guy, and if it is a junior guy who's just new, you're not throwing him into the fire right away.
Right. Just my that it's time for them to open up the ranks a bit. Instead of this assistant coach is now a head coach over there, this head coach over here is an assistant coach over there. Well, this assistant coach is a head coach over here, but this assistant coach is a coach over here. It's just the same names, just with a different sweater. There's so many other things and so many other ideas that we've seen over the years that just can't get in there. And then eventually they just go, never mind. It's just same as players, right? If we don't have more teams to go to, then we have players going, no, I'm going to my career. It's enough. I'll play summer ball.
I do feel like it's happening though. Ottawa made Dan McRae GM. Brad Self came into Colorado, became the GM, and there's also kind of that little twist where you've got some coaches that are also GMs: Pat Merrill, Glenn Clark.
Isn't that a bit
Keenan,
of
if you want
conflict
to
of
say.
interest, though? Isn't that just? I've always been on the fence on this one because in one hand,
it could be, but
you're trying to-
but there's a number of them.
but see,
There's a
in
number of
one
them,
hand, you're saying, I love you. You're my greatest player. Then you go ahead. I don't like. You're not that good. We can't give you the money.
But let's think about the fact that some GMs, for me, Vancouver, comes to mind with Doug Locker. When he was with the Stealth, I haven't seen him in the NLL since. Dan Richardson, when they moved to downtown, rebranded to the Warriors. Once he was gone, I haven't seen him in the NLL since. So,
but these are with good reasons. You remember the Stealth? Nobody wanted to play for the Stealth because of the front office mess. Guys were dying to get out of there.
Yeah.
Dying to get out of there. And all the mess.
No, I understand. I mean, obviously, there were reasons. Those guys were let go. But my overreaching point was more, they're not bouncing around to another team right now. They've kind of,
right.
Once they were bounced out of Vancouver, I haven't seen them back since.
And that's the thing with that coach GM role. If you're doing it both, is I think it takes a certain person to do it. I don't think that's a thing for everybody. Because like you said, there's a fine line you have to walk and be able to kind of separate yourself as a GM and separate yourself as a coach. There are very few that you see succeed like that.
Right. All right, we got one more game to go to before we take a look at next week's games. And that was this afternoon, earlier than it was anticipated because of this blast of snow that is burying the eastern seaboard. Pat, we're with you.
Yeah.
Caden, I don't know where you are. Maybe you're shoveling snow too.
Yeah.
Caden's at the news desk going, snowing outside. Home at 11. Anyway, Saskatchewan and Philadelphia, and it really looked like Philadelphia had found something there in the beginning in that first quarter.
Yeah, and then I think we just rip off the
The second
Band-Aid for
quarter,
Philly fans because it did not look good after that.
they could have
Yeah,
gone
first
home after
quarter
that.
for first quarter looked really, really good, and honestly, the Rush kind of looked a little bit out of sync to be in this game, and just had to kind of get their groove going. But yeah, Brendan O'Neill opened the scoring. Really, right after that, Sam Leclerc, um, then Liam Patton going coast to coast with 5:52 left and 3-0 Philly after one. And then stuff went downhill for the Wings. They were outscored 14-3 the rest of the way. Josh Zawada, Ryan Keenan with 2, and it's 3-3. Um, Brendan O'Neill comes back with one more to give Philly the lead, 4-3. But then Mike Messenger again coast to coast with 2:15 left in the half, and it's tied 4-4. And I mean, again, we've seen this time and again. This Rush team, if they get down, I mean, they're never out of it, and they just kept going. Again, 12 seconds into the second half. Sorry, Jake Naso wins the draw, gets it to Messenger. He has a little spin move, a couple fakes, and it's in the back of the net. It's 5-4 Saskatchewan. Blaze Reardon on a bit of a weird one with the ball kind of bouncing around the crease, and we're tied 5-5. And then a 3-goal run from Saskatchewan with Robert Church, Brock Haley, and Austin Shanks. Again, we're talking about Robert Church's game. This is the one where he was on his back, getting hacked on the floor, somehow gets a cross floor pass to Ryan Keenan, who finds Shanks for puts in the back of the net. Like, how Church got that ball to Keenan is beyond me. And he still ended up with the goal. And then Slaght puts the Rush up 8-5. Leclerc, with 11 seconds left, brings Philadelphia back within one. But then fourth quarter, it's just all Saskatchewan. Austin Shanks on the power play, Ryan Barnable on transition. And again, Robert Church is the other one we were talking about, where he's basically falling flat on his face, just kind of throws it backwards to the wide open Zach Mans, and it's in the back of the net. It's 11-6 Saskatchewan. And you got Austin Shanks at 8-11, 2 more from Ryan Keenan to make it 14-6. And honestly, after that, it was almost, I hate to say it was almost embarrassing, because every time after that Ryan Keenan goal, when Saskatchewan had the ball, they just kind of just killed the clock. Like, they almost like they didn't even want to run up the scoreboard. It was just,
my point now. Did it look like Philadelphia just kind of went through the motions?
and honestly, they put in Deacon Knott for the last about 5 minutes, and I felt sorry for the kid, to be quite honest with you.
He's happy to get in and get some game time, but the point is that the team in front of him really didn't look all that interested. You're tied 4-4 at the half, and you come out so frothing at the mouth that you scored 2 goals in the second half.
Yeah.
Is it time to give up on this lineup? Because I look up and down this lineup. Kyle Jackson, Joe Resiteritz, no goals. Blaze Reardon, I was even surprised to see him in the lineup. I thought he was on the injury list, but he had a goal. Liam Patton, 1 goal. Nice goal. 1 goal.
Yeah.
And even that one wasn't that one under review where they had to come back and say it was a goal?
I believe it was, yeah.
Nip and tuck on that one too, right? Sam Leclerc with a pair of goals, Brendan O'Neill with a pair of goals, Michael Slaght, nothing. Phil Caputo, no goals. This is where you're going to get your offense from, right? This is what you've put your money and put your eggs into this basket, that this is the lineup that is going to get you the goals.
I guess one thing that scratched my head, maybe you guys saw something differently than I did, but from what, we talk about, guys not having roles, in this, especially on this offense in Philadelphia. I saw them get in the offensive zone, maybe make a couple passes, then one person just tries to do everything. The passing just stops. It's like, okay, I'm an individual now. We've got a lot of individuals on that offense, but they just don't seem to be playing like a team.
Which is unlike TK. That's not a TK offense.
And maybe I'm seeing something you guys aren't, but that's just what it seemed like, at least tonight or this afternoon. That's what it looked like.
Over the years, I know Tracy Koleski's offense quite well, especially seeing it in Peterborough all the time as well. And this is not it. And it's not drawn up to have a 45-foot shot from Brennan O'Neill or Michael Sowers. I'll give Bo Columbus a lot of effort for trying to in that face-off zone against Jake Naso, but he's got a ways to go before he's in that category, in that class.
Yeah.
But again, Scott Dominy's there with 1 assist. Now, where's the transition game? Liam Patton had the 1 goal, but again, that was just picking one up and, with the right camera angle, maybe not a goal. So,
and to a bit, I mean, they had a bit of a transition there, but honestly, at that point, Chiliana made some nice saves. They did have a few chances on transition, but they just couldn't capitalize.
Well, Rusatier's had 13 shots on net, got none. Is this concerning?
Yeah. That's very concerning.
Very.
Because he's automatic. And when Mitch Jones was there feeding him, he was damn near automatic. So are these bad selections? Just shooting because they're at the end of the clock? I think a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. But where's the accountability? Like, is it time to cut this lineup free and hope for the best? Obviously, Philadelphia is the seller because they're going to have to redo whatever they've done here. They've tried to piece it. They've tried to put tape over it. They've tried to mortar over some of the holes in the bricks, and it just isn't working. And they're losing their fan base. It doesn't help on a Sunday afternoon of a snowstorm, to have your, dog day. Talk about the unluckiness of that one.
Yeah.
But I wonder, and again, come a couple of weeks, I think a lot of the front office jobs are on the line more than any other franchise. Is this one here on what they do in giving hope for their fan base to want to come to a game? I'm sure the fan base doesn't mind if this guy's gone, that guy's gone, this guy's gone, if they see something that will be of value down the road, because they are a very savvy bunch. Philadelphia is one of the most savvy, lacrosse IQs in the league and has been since the inceptions of these things. So if you're making moves that make sense, they'll be behind you. But if you're doing moves for the sake of making moves to say, look, we made moves, that doesn't work.
Yeah, because I was going to add, you say they're sellers, but that's the thing. I mean, how many years have we heard Philadelphia's going to rebuild? Philadelphia's going to rebuild. It shouldn't take this long. Like you said, if they're going to make some moves, make them count. Because I'd be frustrated too if I'm hearing every year, hey, we're going into a rebuild, but every year that rebuild turns into another rebuild.
Right. Or is a rebuild said rebuild that didn't work. This piece didn't work, so we're getting rid of that. This piece, they're doing the same thing that Buffalo is starting to do now too. And we're calling Buffalo, knee-jerk reaction. Well, what's going on in Philadelphia? It's more than knee-jerk.
I think we brought it up too is the American field lacrosse guy in lineup in Philly. It doesn't seem to be working.
Didn't work in 2000. Why would it work now?
Yeah.
We had Johnny Meridian on. It was his thoughts over there. And, it was funny because it was Paul Dawson on my other show who brought up that point also because he was part of that group with Mundorf and Manny and all the rest of the guys. And he goes, I don't think the fans really care where they're from as long as they can play. And he's right.
Yeah.
I don't care if the guy's from Prague. I don't care if they're from Timbuktu. I don't care if he's from the moon. If he can throw a pass and dive across the crease and score and do what CJ Kirst is doing, man, I'm all for it. If he has a shot like Owen Hiltz, I'm all for it. I don't care where he's from. He can be from the planet Orc for all I care. Nanu, right? It don't matter to me. This has to be a U.S. box guy because our fans will, well, that's all fine and good, when you're winning. You can beat your chest then. But when you're losing, does it still work?
Well,
It's a
I
good
mean,
chance.
I think you guys agree with me. It's not who's on the
But Paul
floor.
Day's tried
what's
everything,
in the
really.
seats.
In that
It's not.
zone, he's tried it all, man.
It's not
Remember,
who's
his
on the
first pick
floor.
overall was
What's,
Brett.
yeah.
Hot, right?
I was just saying it's not who's on the floor who puts butts in the seats. It's winning that's put butts in the seats.
Now, here's another interesting thing: is that if the coin toss went the other way, Philadelphia wouldn't have gotten that draft. They would have gotten Austin Stotts. So either way, you don't win, do you?
Yeah.
Because he's not there, right? Would have had Austin Stotts instead. And of course, now with all those troubles, we wouldn't be playing in the States either. So I don't know. It seems to be the cursed thing because if we looked at that draft that Paul Day took from the start, from the start, is there anybody left? Is there one player left from that draft? Hasn't been that many years. I don't think there is.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
If there is, it's very few. But I don't think there is. Like he has tried to invent and
What was that,
reinvent
18?
this team. Yep. I do not think so. Because he's tried to reinvent this thing again and again. And he tried to get the defense to be here. Shule wasn't even playing, was he? That was the big move was Fennell wasn't playing.
Yeah, it looks like every guy they drafted in 2018 is most likely no longer with the team.
Right.
And most of them never even played for the team.
Frightening, eh? An entire draft that's going to get your franchise going. And the majority of them didn't even play for your franchise.
Yeah.
And your number one guy broke his leg or whatever. Hickey had all kinds of
your second. Yeah, you had Kluche.
You had Baptiste.
You traded Kluche almost immediately because he came in about 70 pounds overweight. And then it took Buffalo to get him in shape. I remember Cordingley was telling me we were at track in the pro shop, and he was saying, yeah, we put him on a program. And as he started, getting back in shape, all these skills came back, right? But yeah, it was just, I didn't even think about Kluche being there. Number 2 overall. Like on paper, what he did made sense.
Keep going, Shawn, because this is I find this kind of hilarious. Actually,
James Leary was in the second round,
and he was selected before Jackson Nishimura.
Yeah. Justin Gutterding, the
who
third
I
round.
don't think ever suited up for them.
Never suited up for Philadelphia.
And he was picked 5 spots before Connor Kelly.
And Ethan Woods, yeah.
Amazing.
Kyle Stavely. Kyle Stavely was the last pick in round 3. And
picked
right after that was Nick
right
Damoud.
Before Nick Damoud.
Yeah.
Figure that out. Go figure.
Then we have Kristen Castellino. Never heard of him. Don't think he ever played.
I don't think he suited up. Connor Keating in the 5th round never suited up.
And he was 2 picks, and Dawson Theed was 2 picks above him. Connor Keating, was 5th round. And Michael Rexroad.
Amazing, eh? You look at this draft and you're wondering why Philadelphia's in bad shape.
And Keating was 3 picks before Toronto took Scott Dominy.
Yeah.
And that's the 5th round.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's a now in hindsight, 8 years later, it's a tough first draft for a new team
Yeah.
to have it
That
pan
kind of
out
shows
that
you
way.
how important drafting, having a good draft is.
Well, Toronto just showed you how you can reinvent yourself if you draft correctly.
Yeah.
I look
And
at back.
I think that's what Philly needs to do. I mean, they need to see about selling some players and
Well,
get
I
some
look at
first and second
it
round
like the
picks.
Toronto in 2010, after 3 years of not making the playoffs, 2006 through 9 in the Klopfer era of GM. James buys the team. Terry Sanderson becomes your GM. You take Billings and LeBlanc in first round picks. Immediately, you become better. And then you make some trades to get some old people back. Colin Doyle. Soon, Josh Sanderson comes back a year later. Cam Woods, guys like that.
Yeah, I was
fill
always
out
looking at that second round that year because Baptiste was the first pick of the second round. They had Ryan Hartley, Luke Van Scheppen, Graydon Bradley, Steve Orleman, Kyle Killen, and like I said, Jackson Nishimura. Like that was a deep second round.
Yeah, a lot of guys still having good careers in it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Unless you put a Wings jersey on.
And I mean, look, if there's any sort of silver lining to this, remember, again, they have their own pick, so that could be the number one pick. They have Buffalo's pick, which right now is looking like it's going to be a top 5 pick potentially.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, if they can make a trade with the right team, maybe they get 3 of the top 10 picks in the first round.
That's my whole point. That's my whole point. Is I think that what they do in the trade deadline and what they do in the draft determines whether this front office stays or goes.
I think that's big. Is what they do in the draft, because if we're looking back there, I mean, they can have all the first round picks they want, but if they're picking guys that are just not going to stick around or just are bust,
not work out,
yeah.
No, it's
all right. Let's look ahead. We have 10 games in week 14.
It's a monster week.
Yeah.
Absolutely. A make or break week for a lot of teams. Philadelphia does not get easier because now you have the number 1 defense coming in. If you couldn't score against Saskatchewan, you think you're getting any goals on Georgia?
In 2 games against them?
Yeah.
Yeah, in 2 games. Exactly. So you got Georgia coming into Philadelphia. You got Saskatchewan going into Buffalo on Friday night. Well, enjoy Bannerland. You've got San Diego into Colorado. That's going to be a big game. Colorado off a loss. San Diego looking good the last few weeks. That's going to be a very big game.
San Diego's still undefeated on the road. The only team that's undefeated on the road.
Tough place to play, but I think if anybody can do it, I think the Seals could pull that one off. Can you imagine all of a sudden we go from 7 wins to a 2-game lose streak? Interesting. Vancouver and Las Vegas Friday night as well. It's also a pretty big game. Vancouver's looked great the last number of weeks, but you know what? They could have looked a lot better against Buffalo. So, they're still a little bit they can pull that stinker out every now and again, right? It's about consistency. That's what's going to win it.
Yeah.
And Vegas, we'll see. We'll see. Because they're another team that's inconsistent. They have moments of looking terrible and moments of looking brilliant. So, but I still think, we talk about Chase Fraser not being in the lineup. I still think that the engine that runs that offense is Chris Kluche. If he's on, that offense is going to be dangerous. And I think that is the unsung leader of that front. Oshawa and Ottawa. This is an interesting one because Oshawa has been sitting with this terrible game that they had against San Diego for 2 weeks. They are chomping at the bit.
Important game for Ottawa too because it's draft implications. They own Oshawa's first-round pick in 26. So by beating them,
I don't have any word on Chase just yet. I have a feeling we're not going to see him this year. Yeah, he seems to be doing a lot of traveling now. But I just have a feeling that we're going to hear about surgery in the summer. But let's hope not. Let's hope that we're just seeing if it can be done without him. But I haven't heard much, and Vegas has been very quiet about it. But yeah, Ottawa's been another one of those middle-of-the-road teams which have moments of brilliance and moments of what in the heck. And you brought in Hellier to really, to be that extra facilitator so not everything had to go through Teat. But at times it goes great, and at times it doesn't go well at all. Because you've since silenced both O'Connor and Kiernan. They're not doing near as much as they were doing beforehand. So unless they devise a scheme that everybody can be part of, they become dangerous.
That's why I think this, this game has a little bit added motivation because of that chance at the number one pick.
Right.
You beat Oshawa. It's you're improving. Not only your record, but
I just think out of pride, Oshawa wants to win this game. Oshawa wants to put together a good game out of pride.
Oh yeah,
because they played so badly last week. But we're into Saturday, and Saskatchewan heads over and plays Rochester. Now, again, Rochester, hot and cold. They look great to start the year. They're in the conversation of who's going to be the ones meeting Saskatchewan. And since then, they've been stone cold. Now, granted, there's been a lot of distractions. Everybody's back now.
And taking account this will be Saskatchewan's third game in 6 days.
Yeah. And you're into the Rochester's barn, which on the greatest of days is a tough place for opposing teams to play. Yeah. All right. Now Buffalo comes into Toronto or Hamilton. Almost a home game usually. But my question is, do the Bandits fans come by for this one like they've done in past? I like it because there's a lot of energy in the room.
I still say they do. They're not going to be happy with the outcome, though.
Well, I've seen that happen before, too. And they've left it to half. But I've also seen them stay, and Toronto fans have left it to half. So I've seen both sides. But it doesn't seem to matter when these two teams meet. Because when Toronto was, sucking up the basement last year, probably the best game that they put together in the year was against Buffalo. It was kind of like Montreal and Toronto in hockey. Didn't matter if one team sucked and the other team was a Stanley Cup winner. They always played tight games when they faced each other because the rivalry was so big. And still is. So if Buffalo has one great game in them, you watch for some way, somehow, this would be that game. So, you might want to make sure you tune in on the TSN Plus or on the Buffalo CW because that game will be broadcast there. Philadelphia and Georgia in the back end of the home and home. It's a rough weekend for Philadelphia, man. They might only have 6 goals by the entire weekend next week.
Yeah, because I was about to say they're the same thing as Saskatchewan, too. They got 3 games in 6 days, but at least they got 2 home games in there.
Yeah, but Saskatchewan can score. Anyways, Halifax and Calgary. This one's an interesting one, too, now. I didn't think that this one would be, but this one has a lot of implications to it as well on your number one pick, Mike. Yeah. Or in this case, Toronto. Hard to believe I'm a Thunderbirds fan.
Well, hey, listen, if Calgary, can take advantage of, this Halifax team that's, in absolute free fall. We could certainly be talking about Halifax having the number one pick still. because they own their own pick.
Good. Now, this is the weekend, in my eyes, that show the San Diego Salt. Pardon the pun. Salty, the mascot. But they got Vancouver at home Sunday evening, Sunday afternoon if you're in San Diego. You just played a tough game against Colorado. Now you've traveled half the country to get back home. And you've got a tough thing on the docket in Vancouver, who play a very, very physical style.
And Vancouver's going to be looking for some payback.
Oh, yeah.
Vancouver lost to them at home earlier in the year.
Yeah. So this one is going to be a big, big game. There's a lot of implications. Again, kudos to the schedules makers, AI, who put this together. And, man, some of these matchups are just, you couldn't ask for a better script coming into the trade deadline and coming down, at the second half of the season, and where we're slotting everybody and how this is going to play out. And again, doesn't the league look brilliant by getting rid of divisions? So there is all this jockeying around. My question is, if we get expansion, do we keep it without, or do we reinstate divisions?
I would hopefully keep it as is.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know what I'd like to see, but yeah. That would be to keep it as is,
right.
Yeah.
It looks silly when they had 3 divisions in there and, the division of 4 teams. And 3 of them made it. So, but anyways, that is the week that was, and that is the week that's going to be. It's going to be a busy, busy week. So I hope you enjoyed your vacation, guys. This week was an easy one. But, wow. Just a reminder to everybody that we are on Facebook, Twitter. We are on Instagram. We are on Thread. We're also on YouTube, as well as on www.streampunkentertainment.com. Please, especially on our flagship on Facebook, visit us 3, 4, 5 times a day. The news is always changing. And we are the Costco of lacrosse. We have our fingers on the pulse of the situation. Some interesting stuff. I have the AGM with Ontario Series Lacrosse for all of the Ontario stuff going on this weekend, this upcoming week. So all kinds of things should be taking place to deal with summer ball as well. It's almost summer, guys. I know when it's minus 37 outside, it's hard to believe. And when you're shoveling 2 feet of snow, Mike, it's hard to believe, but summer's just about here. I have to keep telling myself that, else I won't get through this next little while. But anyways, it's going to be interesting because all the Ontario leagues have their meetings there. It's the semi-annual AGM. So this will be a lot of news coming out of there, I think. The first game for OSL is May 2nd in Ennismore, Brooklyn and Ennismore. The schedule will be on the website soon. It has just been released to us, so we're going to get that out as soon as we can. But, 42 games. Get ready. Here we go. And the MSL, of course, the bread and cheese game, I believe, is May 18th. Whatever the Victoria Day is here in Canada. And that will be the bread and cheese game between Owen Sound and Six Nations. The rest of the schedule to follow. So it's coming. It's coming. It's coming. But as always, I want to thank everybody for being with us. It is our privilege and our pleasure to get you all the information as quickly as possible, as accurately as possible. That brings us to last words. Shawn, let's start with you this week. Last words.
Yeah, like I said, busy week, and I think we're going to start seeing some teams that are going to separate themselves and who's going to be buyers and who's going to be sellers a little bit more. Personally, just kind of putting on the Rush green sunglasses. I want to see that Rush Buffalo game because, as Mike said, I think this Rush team have a chip on their shoulder after the final last year, and I don't think they're going to lay down to this Buffalo team they're going to give it everything they got. And I think it's going to be an entertaining one for sure.
Right. Last words to you, Mike.
For me, I think it's I think my caption kind of captures it. It's important doubleheaders for a number of teams there, specifically Buffalo. I would also say San Diego and Vancouver.
Right. I am so curious to see how things look by the end of next weekend. I really am very, very curious. By the way, it's not much to say that we all went 3 out of 4 in the pick'ems. Except
Caden went 2 and 2.
Caden went 2 out of 4.
2 and 2. Yeah.
Oh, well. Caden tried to be different.
He just wanted to share the basement with me. He keeps opening the door to the basement. Oh, he's.
I guess Caden just wanted to try
give
to
me a little bowl of gruel at the top of the steps. I don't know. Feels bad for me, but opens up that basement door.
Right
before a 10-game week.
Well, Shawn at 47 and 24, Pat at 45 and 26, me at 43 and 28, Caden at 40 and 31, and Mike at 40 and 31. Still, you look at that.
All within
that's going to change next week.
Each other.
Well, yeah, with a 10-game week, man, all kinds of things can go haywire.
Yeah.
Or somebody pulling out a 10 out of 10 on who you got. Relax class, who knows? Certainly won't be me, man. This is the best week I had, and it's only I have the same picks as everybody else. So, anyways, I want to thank everybody for being with us again. Please take a look at us, and please remember to come back every Sunday night at 8 o'clock here at All Lacrosse Live. And until next week, remember to keep your sticks high, keep your spirits higher, and stay safe, everybody. Lots of shoveling ahead. Unless you're in St. Augustine, Florida. Enjoy the sand for me. Until then, guys, have a great week. We'll see you next week.